Let me read your question again. Just want to know your risk management. Like, how do you decide your daily max profit and loss and number of trades? Okay. How do I decide the max profit? It's going to be $1,000 usually. Unless I feel great and want to push. Or I'm coaching chronic, then it'll be about an hour. Trade for an hour. So yesterday I traded for an hour, made what, 3K? So that's how I decide that. Or 2-hour max. Why is it 2-hour max? Pretty simple. You can't outperform fatigue. Plus, I don't want to be here all fucking day. You guys think you can sit here all day, and the longer you sit here, the more money you're going to make, but that's not what's going to happen at all. You're going to get more tired. You're going to get more fatigued. The volatility and the volume contract. So all the trades that were working in the morning start to not work, but yet you're still managing the trades the same, and then they just start to fall apart midday. The performance comes from the reviews. Trade less, review more. Trade more doesn't mean you get better or make more. You don't get it. You don't get better because you're not reviewing. Usually my reviews take just as long as the trading session, sometimes longer, but you're not getting better when you sit here all fucking day. And then when you sit here all day, you're going to be so fucking tired you're not going to want to review. So how much goddamn work do I have to do? That's another thing too. The more trades, the more review. I don't want to do that. I've ruined Friday nights because of this. 17 trades can be 2 hours of review. It's Friday. I don't want to sit here. I don't want to sit here all day and then, I'm going to review into the evening or whatever. So I don't want to take too many trades. That's another thing. There's just a point where it's like, okay, that's enough trades because I got to review all that. You take 50 trades or 30 or whatever. Do you know how long that's going to take you to review? It could take you like 10 hours. But hey, let's face it, most people don't do that. And that's why they don't get better. How do I make trading adjustments? Well, first and foremost, every fucking trade is nuanced. Every trade is different. No two trades are the same. They may seem similar. If you look at a chart and you look at the bars on a 30-second chart or a 3-second chart, they're never constructed exactly the same from day to day. They're just as unique as the fingerprint on your thumb. There's unlimited possibilities of how the price action will set up. The price action before the trade is context, right? The price action leading into a setup, even if it's a similar setup, is different price action no matter fucking what. So you're always going to have different context going into the trade. Every trade has different context. I'm answering your question, trust me. Therefore, the narration is always different. Therefore, the management is always different. So how the fuck do you do that? The price action going into the set, like today I had, what was my short, was like 4 or 5 factors of support to the short side, right? I've had plenty of trades like that. But the way the market opened up and went straight down, straight up, and the way it set everything up here is not the same as it did yesterday or any other trade that have 5 factors of support. The way the setup got set up is not the same way it's been set up on trades that have similar reasons to enter. It's different. Well, they dumped it on very high selling volume, by the way. You can see it here. But then they retrace the entire fucking market. Look, they retrace half of that, more than half of this dump on fucking nothing. Look at that little green bar there. Can you barely see it? Do you see this little green bar here? That's the only buying volume that came in, but the market went up that much. It went down 60 ticks on thousands of sell orders, but it went up almost, 50 so ticks on a couple of hundred of buy orders? Well, that's telling us the market is slipping. Look at the order flow. That's telling us they're spoofing. And then if you look at the order flow, look at the bid offer thickness. It's 20 lots, 30 lots across the board. Okay, there's times where we see it's 150. Usually it's about 100, but now it's ultra thin, 20 lots. The actual volume pacing that's coming in between the limit orders is extraordinarily high as well. So you have a non-liquid, like a less liquid market with high flow and a lot of spoofing. Okay, so all that spoofing is going to tell me today, when they spoofed it like that, this little green bar told me everything I need to know. That told me they might retrace. Even though it's going up, there's a high possibility they're going to retrace. Because if they're going to go up on this much on no volume, and I'm sorry, they didn't actually go up all of this move on buy volume. They actually went up on mostly sell volume right here. See this bar This bar went up on selling volume. How does that make any sense? And this bar went up on barely any fucking volume right there. What's going on is they wash traded this son of a bitch up. So the market's highly manipulated today. Highly skittish, highly spoofy, super thin. Not every day is like that, so I'm accounting for that. As they go up, I know there's a good chance they can come right back down. And what did they do? They came right back down. And what did I do? I traded some of it. Not all of it. So that's called context, and I built a narration. You're like a detective. If you go to a crime scene, you got to work off of a couple of puzzle pieces and try to fill in the blanks. It's like the new NVIDIA graphic cards. They're only accounting for so many pixels on the screen, but they use AI to fill in all the missing pixels and guess what the image is. So that way it doesn't have to render everything. You're essentially doing the same thing. If you have shitty problem-solving skills, trading's not for you. Like, if you can't pick up on little clues and build actual context, it ain't gonna work for you. It's just a skill you gotta learn. I don't really know how many traders have the ability to do that, and they just see it go up or down or some bullshit, or they just lean into a hard level or whatever. They're not like my first trade where I made a tick. Yeah, it would have worked, but man, I was probing at it, and I don't marry a trading idea either. That would be another thing. Don't marry a trade idea. It never fucking works. Well, actually, it almost always ends up in divorce. And what happens when you get a divorce? Half your money gets taken. Well, in this case, it takes all of your money. And my girlfriend's looking at me, shaking her head. Hey, I'm talking about this cunt, the market. So, you don't marry a trade idea ever. The worst thing a trader could do is put a target on and a stop, and then they're like, all right, that's that. I don't need to, I'm just going to put it on. I'm going to put the trade on. Well, tell you what, the price action is going to tell you something different if you know how to read it. If you know how to read what's going on in the market, like how is it reacting? If you can figure out how it's reacting based off order flow, because the deltas is order flow, right? We know that down here when it jumped on sell volume and buy volume, they're spoofing. The market makers are pulling the market for a reason. It could be toxic order flow, who knows? They could be wash trading. It may not necessarily be spoofing. However, there is spoofing, because if you watch the DOM, you will see it move on 6 lots, 2 lots at a time. There's pockets where it does reload aggressively, but if it's trading on a 4 lot or a 6 lot, and then a 12 lot, that is not what's being advertised, so that is manipulation. You can see that the average advertisement is 20 to 30. If they're trading any less than that, that is bullshit, but the depth of market is an illusion anyways. So the market makers overall have an agenda. They're going to attempt to steer the market through wash trading. They do. That's why it goes up on selling volume, right? How can it, and if you slow it down, you can see that. But this is also order flow here. So if you look at something like the 3-second, probably need to look at it earlier in the session. See, if you look right here, you can see how this is a bunch of buying volume, but then it immediately sells, and then followed by more selling. Whoever bought here is immediately most likely getting out. You can find very similar volume like this. A lot of selling, and then it immediately retraces, and then it immediately dumps back in. This could be roughly the same participant, because what's interesting in your delta, which removes the wash trading, or it shows manipulation on the price action, it removes all the bullshit, because there's too much wash trading going on. And when I got 800 by 810 contracts trade at the same price, and the price didn't move, those market orders don't matter for shit. If you got 800 by 810, only 10 of those contracts matter. The rest was wash traded. So this is going to tell me that. So oftentimes you can see the same participants getting in and out. You can. Like, sometimes you can see these really hard moves. Let's take a look here. For example, here's a 30-second expanded. Look at this hard buying right here. A lot of that volume came out. And look how it's like roughly the same height of volume. Whatever's going on is you see a lot of the same volume coming in and out. And if you look at a time and sales, you can see the same thing coming in and out. So how do you manage the trade? Well, I have my fucking theories. I'll put that in there, right? I have my little conspiracy theories, whether people want to agree with me or not. My theories do work too, by the way, right? They do. As crazy as my theories are, they work. And it would take me forever to explain my theories. So volume is key. Everything I was talking about was volume. How thin the DOM is, how thick the DOM is, where are they spoofing, where are they not spoofing. You know, I have nearly a decade looking at volume on one product, which ultimately is something called experience. If I spelt that right, probably didn't. I don't think there's any spell check here, but I'm not an English major. I live in a world where everything autocorrects except for this, so bear with me. So volume is key. How do you know how to manage 9 years of experience? I mean, there you go. That's the secret. Yeah, but it's not just 9 years of experience. It's also 9 years of review work. Plenty of traders here who have 5 years of trading experience but no review work. That's going to make the difference. Okay, so what next? Well, here's something for you. Diagnosing my issues. Am I fixated on an idea? I'm always tagging if I'm fixated on an idea. This is me marrying a trade. So that would be this red line down here. Well, that's not working. That's killing me. When I retry a trade, this purple line, how's that affecting my performance? When I retry it 2 times, when I retry a trade 3 times, how's that affecting my performance? What happens when I give up in a trade and I just put it on and I'm like, well, I don't care what happens. I'll just sit in it. How's that affecting the trade? Well, that's also kind of a red tag, so that's going to be somewhere over here, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, it's cost 7 grand. Impulsive, what is that? How's that affecting me? That's down here somewhere. I think it's this one. That's 77 grand. Flip hit. When I flip hit a trade, what is that? Well, I actually perform well on that. I would think flip hitting going from long to short, short to long would kill me, but that actually is performing. What about a mistake? What happens when I didn't see a pattern? When I do my review work and I'm like, oh, fuck, I didn't see that. I should have saw that pattern right there. That's a pattern I normally trade. I didn't see that. Not gathering information when I just get in and I rush a trade. Or I refuse to analyze something I should analyze. What does that cost me? Oh, that costs 58. Okay, we better stop doing that. Well, what are A-plus trades doing? What about multiple factors of support? Oh, that's 117. We should keep doing more of that. What about revenge trading? What is that doing? Well, it's not really doing much. It's pretty flat, 8K. What happens when I'm distracted and I'm talking to assholes? Well, that stat is so small, it's buried in that clusterfuck, so it's kind of doesn't matter. So like I'm always analyzing that shit, and since I'm always analyzing that shit, consistently making that adjustment on the day-to-day basis. And then my entries and exits, perfect entries, green line. The entries with the yellow line are too early, red is too late, and gray are impulsive or trades that should not have happened. We can see that most of the issue is coming from trades that shouldn't have happened. Well, why is that? Well, it's a lack of patience. I can tell you it's a lack of patience. So in my main numbers, when we look at my psychological tags, we have calmness. The opposite of that is tilt. Contentment, the opposite of that is, oh, I hate my P&L. I better do something about it. And then patience. The opposite of that is FOMO. If we look at my patience, we can see there's 119 red trades and 153 yellow trades. That's bad. I need these to all be green. 75 red, 99 yellow, 10 red, 63 yellow. So patience is the main problem here. So when I look at a statistic like entries and exits, and I got this gray tag, I know it's a lack of patience. So now I have to do psychological work like meditations or visualizations to prevent this from happening in the middle of a fucking session, which leads me into my next thing. It's called winning the psychological battle, because we can see that there's a tremendous amount of tags where it is centered around things that I'm fully in control of. Stop doing things that hurt that I'm fully in control of. Marrying a trade, I'm fully in control of that. Being tilted, I'm fully in control of that. Being patient, I'm fully in control of that. Not gathering enough information, I'm fully in control of that. Make sure I see all of my patterns, I'm fully in control of that. Coming back into here and looking at these things, revenge trading, fully in control of that. Making sure I have multiple factors of support, fully in control of that. Retrying multiple times, I'm fully in control of that. Being impulsive, I'm fully in control of that. I can see how bad that shit hurts. So not doing certain things that I'm fully in control of ultimately affects the bottom line. Winning in the psychological battle, stop doing the things that hurt that I'm fully in control of. That alone is going to fix a lot of problems. Then we go back into here. Well, look at the exits. Green is perfect exits, but most of my exits I need to hold more. And then I have a lot of I held too long exits. Why is my hold more and held too long? Why is there a higher sample rate than I have on my entries? Why are my entries mostly perfect? Well, striving for a perfect entry is winning half the battle in management. Precise entries takes care of half your management problems. Simple as that. If you can get into the trade good and well, there you go. You done fucking took care. You don't need to run wider stops. The trades usually work right away. You don't have to worry about fucking shit. When you got good entries, and the trade just works right away, it also makes you feel better, takes away psychological stress, right? Not only does it help with your management, also helps psychologically. But how do you do that? Well, that's simple. 9 years of experience. 9 years of review work, 9 years of looking at this shit, 9 years of building a system, 9 years of theory, 9 years of focusing on one fucking product, 9 years of making every fucking mistake in the book and learning from it. And once I learn from that, I know what to do. Most of trading is learning what not to do. Most good trading is learning what not to do, because then you're only left with edge. But wait, there's more. See how I have held too long or hold more tags? These tags matter during volatility events. If volatility contracts and I'm holding too long, well, that's telling me I need to start to pull my trades backwards and stop trying to get too much out of them. If volatility increases and I have hold more tags, which are starting to come in actually, then I need to start pushing the trades. But volatility is always contracting and expanding. Some days suck. Some months suck. But then there's times where there's news and the volatility expands. My management is dependent on volatility, plain and simple. Most of my trades are under a minute. How far can the trade go in 1 minute? Well, if the trade is only going a tick in a minute, what does that tell us? The volatility sucks ass. So I can't hold for too long. That means I can only get a tick or two out of the fucking thing. But if it's going 20 fucking ticks in 15 seconds, well, guess what? I can hold more. That's how I decide the exit strategy. But that all depends on volatility. Getting into the trade is one thing perfectly, no matter what type of environment it is. But this hold more, held too long is always changing. And as I do my daily review work and tag my exits, I know how to make the adjustment the next day. Whereas most traders stick their fucking head in the ground and they walk away and they don't know what the fuck happened wrong. If you watched last Wednesday's stream, you'll saw how I got fucked up in the afternoon. Guess what? Instead of turning the stream off, I decided to fucking review all of that. And I figured out exactly what the fucking problem was. Or at least what I thought the problem was. And then Thursday and today, I made the adjustments and now my performance is rock solid. Whereas a lot of you motherfuckers just get up and walk away. And you never know what happened. And then you still make the same fucking mistakes the next fucking day instead of correcting what the fuck happened. See, here's the deal. This is my trading. Since I'm reviewing, I have these really tight fucking borders. Oh, I'm holding too long. I review. Oh, need to start to make adjustments. Oh, I noticed something else went wrong. Gonna make an adjustment. And then my P&L doesn't have these wild swings. Whereas the guys who are never fucking reviewing, they're fucking trading. They keep making the same fucking mistakes, same mistake. Oh, I'm going to try a different system. Oh, it's kind of working. I'm making mistakes. I'm making the same mistakes. See, my mistakes, I quickly figure them out and I keep making adjustments. Whereas most guys don't. That's why their fucking equity curve looks like shit. That's the secret. It's not trading. It's actually the review process. I identify the problem so I don't make the same problem the mistake the next day. Isn't it insanity doing the same thing over and over? But that's not the problem. I'm gonna keep system jumping and changing systems and shit. That'll fix it, right? So we know precise entries is something. What else do we know? We know that exits, they depend on volatility. Depends on volatility. So volume and volatility. So I say vol, plain and simple, which is another 9 years of experience. What else? Oh, scalping, which blows my mind because there's so many people that sit in this Discord that sees how well I can trade, and they continue to hold fucking trades for some fucking reason and struggle. But you guys are stubborn as shit. Let me tell you this. It's easier to predict the next few seconds than the next few minutes. This is why my exits matter, which I'll address here in a moment. So there's something called money bots. These guys figured out how to predict the spin on a roulette wheel in a casino. Their machine, their little computer that predicted the roulette wheel, it couldn't do it. It couldn't predict it by just sitting there and looking at a stagnant fucking wheel. Once the wheel was spun and the ball was bouncing, it predicted the RPMs, the revolutions per minute of the wheel, so it knew what speed the wheel was spinning. It calculated the trajectory of how the ball was bouncing. Then it could predict where the ball would potentially land. But it couldn't do that until the wheel was spinning. When you have no volume or volatility, that's like trying to predict a wheel that's not spinning. It's really difficult to do. But when you have high flow and high volatile movements, it's easier to predict. And it's easier to fix problems as well. Because if I take an 8-tick loss in low volume and volatility environments, that's going to be really hard to fix. But if I take an 8-tick loss in a high volume, high volatility market, that's a lot fucking easier to fix because it's moving that much all the fucking time. Whereas in low volume, low volatility markets, it's not moving that much. There just happens to be this freak movement every now and then where it might go 8 ticks and I get fucked, or it drifts away from me, I get fucked. But if it's actively moving, it's a lot easier to predict. If I get into a trade and it ain't moving shit for a solid fucking minute, I can't predict it. I'm like the computer that can predict the roulette wheel when it's spinning. I can only predict the next few seconds. What am I going to say in the next few seconds? Guess. Well, I'm going to talk about the next few seconds. I'm going to talk about a roulette wheel. I'm going to talk about scalping. But what am I going to say 5 minutes from now? You have no fucking idea. And a lot of you guys are trying to hold these trades, and then you try to forecast these future movements. I have a YouTube on stop forecasting. You're like, oh, one of these 3 scenarios could potentially happen. Or one of these 5 scenarios could be potentially happen. If you're really good, you're like, well, one of these 10 scenarios might happen. It could go down here, and then it could bounce here, or maybe it'll go straight here, hit this, come down here, and then maybe it'll do this. Those are my 3 forecasts. Well, guess what? Most of the time, those fucking scenarios you're predicting never fucking happen the way you thought. Sure, it might hit your target. Sure, it might hit your stop. But the amount of scenarios of how the price can either get to your target is unlimited. How many scenarios of how it can hit your stop is unlimited. How many times it can go 4 ticks in your favor when you want 20 ticks is unlimited. Maybe it goes 9 ticks in your favor. There's unlimited scenarios where it could do that. Is it going to go 4 ticks in your favor, 9 ticks in your favor, 12 ticks in your favor, 20 ticks in your favor? Is it going to go past 20 ticks in your favor? What if it doesn't do shit and sits on your entry and then immediately goes against you? It could go immediately against you a million different fucking ways. It could go against you immediately to where you can't even fucking get out and it just hits the stop right away. Or it could it could go against you really quickly, but then it can test your entry 2 times and those 2 times you can break even. Or it can test your entry 3 How do you fucking know? You don't. Because let me tell you this. If you're really good at predicting the future, especially in markets like that, you would be able to go play the fucking Powerball or the lottery, and you have a better odds. It's like 1 in 242 million odds that you could pick the jackpot because the combinations of numbers are less than trying to predict the future fucking move on a chart. Because the way the price action ebbs and flows, there's unlimited fucking combinations. And you're going to predict 3 of them? If you predicted one of those 3 combinations, my God, you're a savant. Or you just got lucky. Sure, it might have hit that target, and that's all that matters to you. But for me, it's a lot easier to predict the next few fucking seconds, and that's all I need to know. And if the market is moving on high volume and volatility, then getting a little bit of something on a lot of movement is a lot better than getting a little something on no movement. When there's high volume and high volatility, there are more participants at the poker table. If you're sitting at the poker table and you don't know who the sucker is, it's you. And when you're sitting in a low volume environment with low volatility, who are you competing against? The HFTs. You're not going to win that battle. But when it's high volume and volatility, I'm competing with people who are dumber than me, who are trading on higher time frames than me. So I can scalp their trades, right? I can scalp in between what they're doing. I don't need to compete with the HFTs. But I trade at such a small time frame that I'm above the HFTs. They're way faster than me. I don't want to compete with them. But also, there's so many retail traders. You guys are holding trades. You guys are getting into bigger, longer trades than me. There's institutions who are doing this shit as well. There's algorithms that are doing this that are operating at a slower frequency than me. HFTs call it lower frequency trading. That's who they're competing against. Market makers and HFTs are competing against lower frequency traders. Well, I'm slightly higher frequency than a lot of other people in high volume, high volatility environment. So I'm not a low frequency trader. But if there's no volume or volatility, suddenly I become the low frequency trader. There's a reason HFTs have edge, and there's a reason these big fucking firms that are running HFTs don't have losing days for years and years on end. There's edge in speed, and there's edge in scalping, because they just need to predict the next few seconds, the next tick. That's it. They do it through combinations of bid offer pressure. They do it through volume flow, picking off stale quotes. The algorithms start to adjust, like in this environment right now, it's high volume, high volatility. Right now, they're more likely to start taking volatility. If the volume and volatility slow down, they start making. So the HFTs tend to flip from taking to providing liquidity, depending on what's going on. This is all in white papers, by the way. So it goes back to my theories, right? Wherever the hell I wrote that at. I have my theories right here, and they work. So scalping, that's what's going to do it. So how do I know when to exit? Well, it just depends what I can get on average. So I look at my exits, and I start to figure out, when I do my review, what on average can I get in the current environment? Is it 12 ticks? Well, then that's what I'll take. A lot of my trades have been in that 9 to 11 tick range this last week because the volatility is there. So I know I can get that. Now I need to continue to review to see if I can get a little more. But there's also an intuition you develop after experience. Can't teach that. Trader intuition developed from 9 years of experience. There's just I understand this market. I can feel it. I can smell it. I know what it does. I know how it behaves. I know what it likes. I know what it doesn't like. I know what its favorite color is. I know what its favorite food is. I know this fucking market. So when somebody goes, how do you fucking manage your trades? How do you do that? It's like you guys are seeking this like instruction, like how to bake a fucking cake. You gotta roll the dough, knead the dough, put it in the oven, preheat the oven to 450 degrees, stick it in there for 30 minutes, and that's how you manage a trade. That's not how that fucking works. Managing a fucking trade is a combination of every goddamn thing you've ever learned and done. All the technical analysis, all the price action, all the experience, all the not doing everything wrong in the book and learning from it, all the review work, the years and years of experience, understanding the volume, not getting married to a fucking trade, understanding how to build context, knowing that every fucking trade is fucking nuanced, understanding scalping. That's how you manage the fucking trade. It's everything. Me just telling you how to manage a trade like I'm giving you instructions on how to bake a fucking cake or make a loaf of bread. Well, if I could just give you that, then trading would be easy, wouldn't it? You'd be like, oh, I just got to do this and then I can make money. Okay, well then why the fuck are so many people failing? Well, it's fucking hard. Me telling you how to fucking manage a trade is like Tom Brady, one of the greatest quarterbacks in the history of football, telling you how to throw a fucking football. If he sat there and told you how to throw a football for a month and you got coached by the guy, you're going to go out there and start winning Super Bowls after a month of coaching with the greatest football coach ever? No. Will you probably throw the football a little bit better? Yeah, sure, but you're not winning no Super Bowls. Why? Because you don't have the decades of experience. Also, you're only picking up 10 to 15% of what's coming out of my mouth. So you're only gathering a fraction of what I'm saying right now. And also, there's all this subconscious cueing and things and stuff that is going on a deeper intellectual level that I don't even have awareness around. There's so much going on in my head. Here's how I tell you how to manage a trade. We sit down and I talk to you for 9 straight fucking years. Then you'll have the 9 years of lectures and experiences. Trading's not black and white. It's an art. It's a performance sport.